Hey everybody, AJ Morris here, and I am embarking on what it's like to create a full site editing theme in 2021. Now, if you saw my blog post yesterday, and I've linked to that in the description below, I'm giving it a try, right? WordPress 5.8 was the first phase of releasing the full site editing options, right? It introduced the theme.json file for theme developers to start using and working with, and I'm really excited to dive into it. I'm chronicling my journey over the next 30 days or so to really go in and play with it, and in this video series, I am just gonna be touching on little things as we go to create a site, or create a theme rather, for my own personal site. That's what we're doing, and I am going to be using my iPad Pro to film all of the editing. That's something I'm wanting to try, using my iPad more for a daily machine, and I thought, why not do that with everything that I'm doing? So editing these videos, producing all this content is all happening on my iPad Pro. Really excited to give that a try, and I figured, why not bring you along for that journey as well? I'm using the iPad Pro, and I'll be using some tools that are working for the iPad. But the good news is that all the lessons and the things that you're going to learn along with me is just code. And so you can use any code editor. You could use an SSH client. Really, you can use whatever you want to write that code. That's the beauty of being able to write code. It's a code in a browser. That's all I'm using, and it'll be on the iPad, so you should have no problem following along with that. Now, before I get started, I am launching a new YouTube channel. It's called Ask AJ. I've been in the WordPress space for a number of years, and I always get people that are asking me random questions. And so as I launch this new YouTube channel, I would love to answer your questions. So if you have something that you're looking to have answered, shoot me a Twitter reply, a DM, comment on a YouTube video, and I will do my best to do that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button over at YouTube and click the thumbs up. Would love a thumbs up on the video, and also click that little bell, because at least what YouTube tells me is that you're going to get instantly notified of when I upload new videos. All right, I think I've got all the housekeeping stuff out of the way. I guess the other thing I would just mention is that you can get notified via email of when videos and blog posts come out for this. If you head on over to ajmorris.me, watch or click on one of my blog posts, and then at the bottom there's a nice little subscribe box that you can subscribe to my newsletter. Right now I've got it set up to send these blog posts out daily for you, so you can get them as I produce this content. With all of that said, let's go ahead and get into this video. Here on my screen, I've got a staging site, and this is one I've used to play around with, just to test some things out, really get a feel for where Gutenberg is at. And you can see I've got some themes. I've got different themes here, and I do want to mention that I have Gutenberg installed. Gutenberg, it's important that for right now that you have Gutenberg installed. So I'm running 11.6, which is one of the later, I think it's the most recent version actually, of Gutenberg, and that's the block editor that lives in core. But Gutenberg as a project is a project that you can, or a plugin that you can use to get the latest and greatest before it gets merged into core. So you can really start to try everything out. So I like to just use that, especially on this site. It's my personal site, and it just gives me a better option to really start moving towards the block editor. All right, so that covers the site, and I need to create a WordPress theme. So I've created WordPress themes in the past for myself, for clients, as a freelancer. And so I'm going to be doing that again. And we know, having had that experience before, I know what is needed to have a WordPress theme and really have a theme kind of be acknowledged by WordPress. So we're going to create that first, and then we'll go in and see how to get our theme to be full site editing. And I think it's a lot easier than you're going to think that it is. I'm going to use a product or an application called Code Editor. Now the Code Editor is by Panic. You might recognize the icon if you've been around the space for a while as Coda, which was a Mac SFTP terminal website code editor all-in-one tool. It is no longer available in the App Store, so there are a few other options if you are familiar with kind of living in the SSH world. Really, anywhere you want to go, I'm going to use the code editor from Panic, at least for now, and we'll see what else is out there throughout this series. So I have already connected and SSH'd into, or SFTP'd into my site. I've gone ahead and moved into the themes folder. You can see that right here. And you can see the themes that I've got in here. The first thing that I need to do is create a directory. So we're gonna create a new folder here, and we're just gonna call it AJ FSE theme. It feels like that's a good name to go with. And then while we're in, I need to create a file. We're gonna call this index.php. WordPress requires that there's two files. Those are the minimum requirements for a WordPress theme. One is an index.php file. The other is a style.css file. So I'm going to go ahead and just edit this index.php, and we're just going to open it up. Type silence is golden and save that. Now, I don't believe I'm going to need this, so I'm just going to go ahead and close that out, and we'll go back into the folder. Now the next one I need is a style.css. So style.css. I do need to edit this because WordPress does require the style.css and having a specific header block of code to recognize, let the theme system recognize that, hey, these files that live in this theme folder are in fact a WordPress theme. We're gonna have to put some stuff in here. Before we do that though, I want to go back out to themes, and I'm gonna use the 2021 theme as an example, and I will find the style CSS for that so that we can at least see what it looks like. And I'm gonna copy all of this, kind of like lines 3 through 20. So we'll copy that, and then I can actually close this. I don't need it anymore. This is my style CSS, so we'll paste that in. And now the beauty of it is I can just remove a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. We're not doing anything 2021 related, so we'll get rid of that. Post this in the theme repository, so I don't need to worry about tags. That kind of clears some things up a little bit. Let's see, let's start at the top now, and we're going to give it a theme name. So this is just AJ full site editing theme. We need a theme URI. Now I'm just going to use my blog. I'm going to also use my blog for the author URI, and I'm going to change the author from the WordPress team to AJ Morris, and then I need to give it a description, so we'll go ahead and say a full site editing theme experiment. So require at least, this is what version is required. I definitely need it to be 5.8. Test it up to 5.8. PHP, I'm going to say that this is 7.4, and I don't know if that's true, but that's what my server's running. So I think that that probably makes sense. And then version here is just the version of my theme, and I'm going to be on the dot version. Everything else, oh, text domain we need to change as well. So we'll just say AJ FSE. All right, so that's all we need to do in this file for right now. Let's go back over here to Safari and we'll reload. And we'll see that I do, in fact, WordPress now sees my theme. So if we click on theme details here, we can see my name of the theme. We can see the version, the description, and the author. Let's go ahead and activate this. And we see it's activated now. I don't have a screenshot, and if I had a screenshot, I'm pretty sure, let's look at the 2021. If I had a screenshot.ping file inside of my folder, I would have an image that would then display up here, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to go ahead and go over to the front end and just reload, and I see that we have a white page. Okay, so we've got a theme, but nothing is being displayed. That makes sense. I didn't tell WordPress to load up a template. I didn't tell it to find. There's nothing in my index.php file to show this. It's not pulling any of the like PHP helper functions and all of that to display. There's no loop. This makes sense. The next step to getting a full site editing theme, and I Googled this prior to the video just to make sure I knew and didn't have to watch or let you watch me fumble through it, is we need to create, back in our folder here, we need to create another folder. We need to call it block templates. All right, so we've created that. And then inside block templates, we need to create a new file, and we need to call it index.html. Now, we don't have to put anything in this file. Similar to how classic themes or classic WordPress required a index.php file and a style.css. With full site editing, it actually requires the block templates folder and an index.html file in it in order for full site editing to work. So if I now go back out here to the WP admin and I reload, we're going to see a couple new things on the screen here. First, in the menu bar, we're going to see the site editor option. So we'll explore that in a second. And then next, we'll see this little message here that just says, hey, you're using an experimental full site editing theme. Full site editing is an experimental feature and potential API changes are to be expected. So we've got two little things here that are related to full site editing, but that is showing up. Now, if I reload the front end, we'll start to see some familiar things. We've got our WordPress admin bar at the top, so you can see that I'm logged in and that I have empty template index, which just is saying, hey, there's nothing in this index.html file. So full site editing is going to take over and allow us to do that. So the last thing that I want to do here in this video is just get content on the page. And the great thing is that we can do that all within the block editor. So if we go over here to site, this is full site editing, right? And this is like loading up Gutenberg for us to start manipulating our site with. So you'll notice that there's a little icon over here. If I toggle the navigation, we'll see that we're in our index template. You'll also notice you're in the index template up here. If you want to browse all templates, it opens this up. You can create new templates in here, so you could create a front page, you could create a page, an archive, search, 404. You can create all of these things right within WordPress, so you're not having to go in and think about all of the code to create these templates as we think about the WordPress template hierarchy. That's pretty cool. Let's give this a try. I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to click on the blue button here for the block inserter. And during some of my research, I found that there is a query loop. So you can add that into the page, and we'll go ahead and close that navigation area. And this query loop allows us to kind of cycle through a few different options of how our blog post might show in this query loop. So you can see on this one, you have a featured image, and then your blog post title. And if you go over, you've got one that has columns. You have this like black with very big titles, and the date over here on the side. So there's a lot of different options, right? This is like a masonry type one, and some of them that have images, those will show up. Other ones that don't have a featured image, it doesn't show up, but it does show you that the block, there's a featured image block that is to do that. So that's kind of showing up. I'm going to try to keep things a little simple though, and just show this one. So we'll go ahead and select choose here. That loads up, and on the toolbar for the block, we've got these little, they look like little slider, like a slider icon, but if you click on that, it's actually your display settings. So the display settings is set to 1 item per page. And that makes sense. Given the block, you could go in here and say 10 or 5 or whatnot. And you could do that. You could even offset it. You could do a max page to show. So you have some options in there. But because we're editing that index, which if you think back to the WordPress like template hierarchy, the index is like that catch-all. So I don't want to necessarily customize it based on these display settings here. I really want to let the template do its work. So I'm going to go over here to the settings on the inside the block editor. We're going to go into the template. We see that there's no options here, but if we go back to the block, we see under settings that we can inherit query from template. So if we go ahead and just click that pill, and then let's click save, and then save again, and then we'll go back out to the front end and reload. We can see that this template is in fact going to pull in all of our set of posts, and it's pulling in a set of posts based on what we've set inside our settings and reading sections. I think I have it set to 6 posts. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I change this to 10 and reload again, you can see I've got some new posts in here now. I'm also pulling in the excerpt. So if we wanted to pull in the full text, we could do that. If we reload, it looks like it's not pulling in the full text yet, but that might be an option in here. Looks like this is a post excerpt block, so I would need to make some changes there, but you get the idea. So it is pulling in some of our settings. I'm gonna go back to excerpt and 6 posts just because that's what I am kind of wanting at. And that's it. We're now into a full site editing theme. It was just that simple. So in recapping this all up, we were in our block editor here. Let me go back up to show you here. So we created our folder, we created our index.php file, our style.css file. We created a block templates folder for making sure that this is an FSE theme. And then inside that, we created that index.html file so that the block editor understands that this is, in fact, a full site editing theme. Once we did all that, we were able to get inside of WordPress, we were able to get into the full site editing notifications. So we got the site editor menu item in the left-hand side. And if we go back to the appearance and themes, we get the little notice that just says that, hey, we're using a full site editing theme. This is perfect and a great place to stop. I'm going to stop, and tomorrow in the series, I'm going to be looking at what else is there that we need to create in order for this to really get going. And that, to me, the next place is to start looking at the theme.json file, what that is, what you can do with it, what settings you can set in there, all of that. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow as we go through. Make sure to click subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, let me know that you like this video, and click that bell to be notified of any new videos that I post on this YouTube channel. So thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you tomorrow.